Hi, I'm Barbara Way, and I'm the director of the Front Royal Women's Resource Center, and thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all. We have a very packed room here of women here for this fabulous wine tasting and membership drive event. So thank you all for coming. I'm not going to spend too much time with introductions, just if you don't know who we are, please check us out on our website, FRWRC.org. We connect women, we support women, we give grants to women and young girls. We do lots of fabulous things, along with wine tastings. So I want to introduce first Eka Capiotis, who is our host for our monthly woman gatherings. And Eka, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Okay, I'm Eka, and I'm really happy to be here tonight, and especially with all of you and our wonderful guest, Joanne Mulherin, who is a wine specialist. And I know that I usually do a little more introduction, but she is ready to go. And she's got lots to tell you. We're going to have a really fun time learning about wine.
Yes, I am a wine specialist at Chateau O'Brien. I've been there for 4 years. I work in the capacity of running tastings for both our classic and our Cellar high-end reds. I'm an event coordinator and a tasting room manager. So it was a delight for me to offer my expertise in the field of wine and offer a free tasting for everybody tonight. So what I'd like to do is just get rocking and rolling. Basically, to prepare for my job as a wine specialist, it didn't take much. I've been drinking wine since I was 2 years old. The story in my family is, and it has been repeated at many family dinners, is that at the age of 2, I was in my high chair having a chocolate that my Italian godfather brought, but meanwhile he had brought my mother, as he always did, a beautiful bottle of Chianti with the straw-wrapped bottom, and I started to, bang on the chair like I wanted the wine, I wanted the wine. So my Italian godfather, Carmen Ciccarello, I don't think you can get any more Italian than that, he said, well, just give her a little in her sippy cup. She probably won't like it, and that'll be the end of it. So the story goes, they put it in my sippy cup, I grabbed it with both handles, and go, slapped it down on the metal tray of the high chair and said, more. And my mother looked at my father, sure she won't like it. Sure that'll be the end of it. We're going to have a problem with this one. So combined with, again, my son's father is an Italian chef. So learning to cook traditional Italian food and pair with wines, at the age of 15 and 16, it started a lifetime of wine appreciation. So I took those talents and took some courses in online wine appreciation and enology and got certified and secured my job at Chateau O'Brien. So what I'd like to do is begin with our wine tasting. And I just want to, as I'm starting to pour the first wine, I'm going to give you a little background. I mean, wine is a living, breathing entity of Mother Nature. It changes. That's why we talk about things like the aging of wine, it breathing. So when we make wine, you're taking this living, breathing, crushed grapes and adding nothing but native yeast, if you're doing it with sustainable organic procedures. And that yeast is a fermenting agent. And what fermenting does, it takes the natural sugar that exists in fruit and it converts that sugar into alcohol. So the drier a wine, the higher the alcohol content. Sweeter wines would have less alcohol because you've left some residual sugar behind. So this is a dry Petit Manseng. Petit Manseng is a small, thick-skinned grape that originated in the Gascony region of France. That's on the east coast, very, very close to the Atlantic Ocean. And the proximity to that ocean gives this grape the extra moisture in the air and the soil that small, thick-skinned grape requires. Here in the Shenandoah Valley, the proximity to many of the vineyards to the Shenandoah River gives that same moisture that this grape needs. Unfortunately, many Virginia vineyards do not age this grape long enough. They don't give those grapes time enough to have the sugar convert to alcohol. So you may see Petit Mansengs at these local Virginia vineyards, and it's a very sweet wine. This is bone dry, 13.5% alcohol in a white wine. I've been to vineyards that couldn't get the reds out of the 12. So that is considered a very dry wine, but I describe this as being easy drinking. Because this combines notes of citrus and soft white fruits with white floral notes of jasmine and honeysuckle, when your brain gets that little bit of honeysuckle, it says honeysuckle, honey is sweet. So it actually is very easy drinking for a dry wine. We have everybody here. So again, I'm going to show you a little bit about doing a professional wine tasting. So right now the wine is breathing in your glass. Whenever you're pouring wine, I always suggest the bigger the wine glass, the better. You never want to pour the wine more than halfway up your glass. You want the other 50% space to be taken, oh, isn't that perfect, with oxygen. Because again, repeating, the living, breathing piece of Mother Nature needs oxygen. Does everybody have something in your glass? All right. So to do a proper wine tasting, you want to take that, of course I didn't have that here. So this wine is a non-vintage. You notice if I'm holding out the bottle, there's no year. When you see no year, it means it's a non-vintage, combining grapes from multiple harvests. This particular wine combines grapes picked in 2013 and 2014, and it stayed in stainless steel for between 3 and 4 years. 4 years were the grapes that were picked in 13, and then the grapes in 14, we added another 3 years. So this spent a long time locked into a stainless steel barrel, no oxygen. Then it gets bottled in the bottling line and corked. So I like to describe that wine as being put in a medically induced coma. It's still alive, it's still aging, but it's barely breathing. So when we pull the cork out, we want to bring that wine back to life. And you do that by leaving your glass completely flat on the table and giving it a little spin. If you're feeling playful, you can stop and give a little reverse spin. You can stop and bring it on back home to mama. And what you're doing is you're creating a mini vacuum inside that glass. You're literally drawing oxygen molecules from the air right down in between the wine. You're spinning it, and there's a whole disco party going on in there. The oxygen molecules are bumping into the wine molecules, causing a little friction, and it releases the bouquet. So you spin and get your nose in there and breathe in. This has a very soft, fruit-forward nose. You might even get a little bit of that jasmine or honeysuckle in the nose. Introduce a little into your palate, a little sip, swish, swallow, and enjoy it on its own merits. For this particular wine, it's light-bodied, it's elegant, it's graceful. I describe Petite Mansing. Petite Mansing is everything in a wine I wish I was as a woman. I'm more the fat-bottom, luscious Luigi's red. But again, very light and delicate. So for pairing, this is wonderful to enjoy on its own merits. This is wonderful maybe during the meet and greet conversation portion of your evening or your party or your dinner party. It's wonderful with appetizers. So every table has some nibbles, except for you. Yeah, you missed out. So my suggestion for this wine, it combines beautiful fruits and florals. So this is a wonderful wine to enjoy with nuts. I have a choice of either pecans or pistachios. I chose the unread one, so you don't have to worry about staining your fingers. So after your second sip to finish the wine, enjoy it with the perfect pairing. And pairing is all about making the wine its best version of itself. Again, I like to say wine tasting, for me, trying a new wine to go into a new winery, is like going on a first date. And when I go on a first date, I like to keep my crazy kind of at check. I kind of tuck up my back pocket. So again, if we want to bring the wine, we want it to put its best foot forward. So in pairing, you want to pair your wine with something that's going to make the wine its best version. So with this one, you don't want to overpower it. You wouldn't want to serve this with heavy foods or spicy foods or ethnic foods because you'd miss out the amazing elegance and subtlety that exists in this wine. Yeah. My cousin and I used to say chin chin. Well, after we got to be a certain age, it was chin chins. Yeah. So that is our first wine. And if you're anything like me, the wine is always better with the food. You know, for me, it's kind of a 50-50. I want the wine to make the food its better self. I want the food to make the wine its better self. So if you'd like to do a little freshen in your glass, when you finish the wine, my suggestion is to take advantage of some of the oyster crackers that are scattered around the room. Well, not scattered around the room. They're contained in a bowl, and the bowls are around the room. But the oyster crackers are going to act as a palate cleanse. Anybody who's ever been to a chili competition knows the last thing in the world that they would give you as you go from one chili to another is water. Water is just going to intensify that little bit of, it's actually called flavonoids that are actually stuck on your tongue and on the inside of your mouth. But if you go to a chili competition, they usually have big hunks of bread or crackers. You're absorbing the flavonoids from your tongue. So when doing a wine tasting, it's nice to have some type of bread product. So you're going to pull the wine that's still left over in your mouth and start it with a fresh palate. If you'd like, there's pitchers of water. You can put a little bit of splash in your wine glass, give it a little swirl, and again, I like to say, don't waste a single drop of wine. In my field, we call that alcohol abuse. We don't like to abuse the alcohol. So again, just give a little swirl and enjoy that, a little toss back, and we'll be ready for our next wine. I want to make sure I get you first this time. Yeah. Okay.
All right. And then the clear ones or the you're
Good, so everybody's doing their palate cleanse, they're rinsing their glasses. Our second wine is also a French white. This is also a non-vintage. This is a newer wine. Chardonnay grape, unlike Petit Mansing, doesn't need that long aging. So if anybody in this room who hears the word Chardonnay and thinks creamy, buttery, oaky, you're wrong. Not one of those adjectives describes the properties of the Chardonnay grape. The Chardonnay grape is the prominent grape in making champagne. Most champagnes are made from 60% Chardonnay, and the other two grapes are Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier. And I can guarantee there isn't a person in this room who's had a champagne and said, oh, it was so creamy and buttery and woody, right? Because it wasn't. Those characteristics come to play by the fact that California innovated long-term oaking of the Chardonnay grape. But the Chardonnay grape, as most white grapes, is very soft and delicate, and it gets overwhelmed with too much oak. In addition, California uses a double fermentation. It's called malolactic fermentation. In addition to native yeast, they add malic acid. There's a chemical conversion that occurs between the acidic crushed white grapes and the malic acid, converting that acid into lactic acid. During that chemical conversion, that is what produces that creamy, buttery effect. Chardonnay grapes are described as being fruit forward. There's a nice little pop of citrus that Petit Mansing kind of caressed the inside of your mouth with a little gentle touch of citrus. This more pops, has a nice bright acidic citrus opening, and it finishes with a hint of toasted hazelnut. Now in a champagne, when you're using aged yeast lees, that kind of toasted hazelnut effect becomes more a soft, warm biscuit effect. So this is considered to be a Burgundy or a French-style single fermentation Chardonnay. This is what I call a classic French dinner wine. This would pair with your poultry and your fishes, but because it has that nice, bright, acidic citrus, it can actually stand up to bigger flavors. When it comes to fish, you can go with the red fish or the gray fish, swordfish, red snapper, salmon. When it comes to poultry, I wouldn't hesitate to pair this with duck breast or small capons that are much more flavorful. Jen, are you partaking here?
I'm doing my best to keep up with you. Can you display what you're showing?
We have an extra glass. We can
Display your.
She's got one right here.
And here we go. I feel like Vanna White.
Hold still.
There's
Hold still.
non-vintage Burgundy style Chardonnay.
Thank you, ma'am.
You will never think of Chardonnay as creamy, buttery, and oaky. And again, I love that Chardonnay. I, didn't know a lot about the making of wine back then. But when you've done that for so many years, you just you've had it. It's been there, done that, don't want to go back. So a lot of times when I'm looking for a white wine in a restaurant and all they have is Chardonnay, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll go to a rosé. Now I know enough to ask the sommelier, the bartender, or hopefully the experienced waitstaff, is this California style or is this French style? All right. All right, let me. There we go. There we go. Knock that right off. There we go. Look at, this is what I do at the winery. I don't. There we go. If I could bring the bottle, I would. Okay. So you're gonna find this one has a little bit bigger of a bouquet. Bouquet, aroma, nose, it all means the same thing. It's those wonderful aromas that come up from the glass after you've stimulated the wine. Again, we all want to create that party in your glass. And it becomes a party in your mouth. Now for Chardonnay, this is a little bigger flavor, a little more acidic. So my suggestion for pairing on this is the amazing smoky Gouda. The smoky Gouda is going to give it a little more oomph. Again, it's a little more flavorful cheese and it has that nice smoked effect. So this is an imported Gouda from the Netherlands. Perfect for the Burgundy style Chardonnay. I love smoky Gouda. I know you do. Now this, like the Petit Vincent, is bone dry. 0 residual sugar. Again, 13.5% alcohol. You are good. My girl is growing up. No more sweet wines for you. All right.
That's about as sweet as I usually ask if it's oak.
Here we go. I know I was hoping you just kind of put that here. I'll sit. You can set that down, and there's a glass right at the edge of that table for you.
You are such a good hostess.
And do you have a glass? Because I think there's. Okay. So as everybody's finishing up the Chardonnay, you can repeat the nice palate cleanse, a little rinse of water, don't waste those few drops of wine. And we're gonna move ahead and we're gonna segue into the world of rosés. And anybody who is a fan of culinary magazines or websites, whether it's, Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, Wine Spectator, 2017 was the year of the rosé. It became the it wine. It trended. You could not pick up a food magazine. You couldn't open up a website. If you're watching these cooking shows, they're pairing everything with rosés. So again, rosés became an extremely popular 2.5 years ago. And again, so it's a big, big seller with the millennials because anything that trends, anything that's the it, becomes a top seller. So you're going to see more and more high-end rosés produced here in Virginia. Virginia was number 11 when I moved here in 2013. Virginia was number 11 in the number of vineyards and the quantity of wine produced. 2-3 years later, they became number 9. Last year, they're number 5 in the country with the amount of wine that is produced. But Virginia wine differs from California wine in one very important way. Virginia wines tend to be limited in the harvest. They allow a little more room around the plants. Air is very important in, in the vineyard. We want to work hand in hand with Mother Nature. She's a very tough business partner. Yeah, she can be cruel and she can be kind. Years like 2011 and 2018, we saw the nasty side of Mother Nature with torrential downpours that beat down on the grapes, making very, very light-bodied grapes. So they lost about 50% of the harvest. Red grapes were extremely light-bodied. I mean, they almost looked like rosés in the bottle. Then there were good years where, again, Mother Nature gives us variable winds. The winds going around the plant deals with things like powdery mildew, downy mildew, leaf nodule side of the vineyard we have to worry about. So with regards to Mother Nature, in producing rosés, you can have everything from a fruit rosé, a rosé blend where you're mixing both a white grape and your red grape, or you can have something like this. This is called Tannat Rosé. This is a single varietal grape. It is the not as well-known red grape called Tannat. It originated in the Mataron region of France. It was actually brought to Uruguay 185 years ago by the Basque missionaries suffering from religious persecution. And 185 years ago, you did not land in customs jail if you dug up a living vine, rolled it in burlap, hopped on a slow boat, and 3 months later arrived in the New World to replant it. Today, Tannat is known as the national red wine grape of Uruguay, but it got to Uruguay by France. Today, again, you cannot take a vine from one country and move it to another. It's against the law. So today, most vineyards genetically clone their vines. They can be cloned from American vines, they can be cloned from French. Chateau O'Brien specifically uses French clones. We are fortunate in the fact that we are so close to Virginia Tech, who has a huge agricultural program, and they do some of the genetic cloning there. In California, they use the services of Stanford and UCLA. So again, this is a French cloned, single varietal red grape, lightly pressed with minimal contact with the skins and seeds. So rather than a red and white blend, this is in the French world, they call this a saignée, meaning lightly pressed. This is a dry rosé. I like to call this, my little tagline is, this is not your mother's rosé. This is not sweet, it's not fruity, you'll never see it come in a box. Again, for a rosé, this retails for almost $30 a bottle. So this is a very expensive grape to produce. So again, very dry, like those whites, 13.5% alcohol. And for those that like reds, they'll probably be a big fan of this. This is going to seem more like a light-bodied red, chilled and unoaked, meaning aged in stainless. There will be no woody, smoky opening. You won't get any lingering tannins. It's going to have a clean, crisp finish. Again, a fruit-forward nose. But the flavor of this is layers of black and dark berries. It's a combination of black cherry, black raspberry, and black currants.
It does. Sounds very healthy.
So because this is a rosé that actually tastes like a light-bodied red, we're going to have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to have everybody pair this with a little piece of dark chocolate. It's going to add the antioxidants that the rosé version lacks compared to the red wine. And the dark chocolate is going to pull the black cherry away from the other fruits. So it's going to feel like you're having a guilt-free, chocolate-covered cherry candy with none of the shame. Extra antioxidants, guilt-free candy flavor, and it tastes delicious. It's what I call a win-win-win situation.
Oh, wait, you got to swill it. Swill. Is it good? Yeah, that's really what we've had so far.
No, that was in Tennessee. I can't remember, it was either Pigeon Forge or it was Gatlinburg. There's not too many high-end wineries in Tennessee. They do, it's like North Carolina. If you like the sweet muscadine, you're in luck. But they had some amazing rhubarb wines and fruit wines. But I took advantage of an industry discount and got a free wine tasting everywhere I went. Nobody says no to that, and I did end up buying more chocolate at the wineries than I bought wine.
Just take a sip and then have some chocolate.
Okay. Did you find it?
So Joanne?
Yes,
So
darling.
the question is, when you're tasting, do you have a sip and then have the chocolate?
Yes. You want to. First of all, you want to open up the wine. You want to stimulate it. Breathe in the aromas. When you're drinking wine, there are 3 aspects. There's the opening. Some people will spend 30 minutes just sniffing a wine. 30 minutes before they even let it into their mouth. Then there's the palate, what it tastes like in your mouth, and then you have the finish. So when you take your first sip, you're gonna, like I said, sip, swish, swallow. I want to see everybody be as dramatic as me, and that's not easy to do. When you swallow, you're gonna open mouth, breathe in. Really draw in. Could you hear that? Try to put a little sound into it. Yeah, you really want to activate, just like you stimulated the wine in your glass by pulling the oxygen from the air. You want to pull the air into your mouth, activate the finish. The Petite Mansing was a perfect example. When you swallowed, you got more of those jasmine and honeysuckle tastes after you had already swallowed the wine. Red wines will continue to blossom in your mouth. When we do the red, we're going to have flavors of cracked black pepper and spice. And again, I'll be talking, and I'm still experiencing that. And again, I call that the gift that keeps on giving. So again, there's the aroma of the bouquet, the palate, and the finish. And I'm going to put a little here. Here you go. And that one, again, single varietal Tannat. Saignée Press, a 1 red grape. Again, we squeeze the juice out, minimal contact with skins and seeds.
Don't move now.
Okay.
I know it's hard. Okay.
All right. Oh. It's my life oxygen. Oh, chug-a-lug. Chug-a-lug, and all is well. So while we're doing rosés, that was a classic French Saignée made from a single red grape. We're now going to do something a little different. In the words of Marcy Python, now for something completely different. We're going to do an April's Apple Rosé. This is a unique rosé created by Howard O'Brien at Chateau O'Brien in honor of his only child, April's 25th birthday. Because when you own your own winery, you get to create a wine that's never been made before to symbolize the personality of your daughter. That's what it's like to own a winery. So he mixed a variety of 6 apples, picked, sourced from local apple growers, specifically Stripling Orchard, and he put an equal amount of Fuji, Gala, Jonathan, Empire, Golden Delicious, and Granny Smith. To that, and again, he got about 75% in this 6 apple blend. Then he added 12 to 15% of the red Chamberson grape and 12 to 15% of the red Norton grape. So what he created was a veritable fruit bowl doing the happy dance in your mouth. This is a sweet rosé. It's going to open up with very sweet, ripe, lush apple. And it finishes with hints of strawberry, peach, and citrus, and a hint of cinnamon. So again, to describe his daughter, he wanted to create an unpretentious rosé. Tannat is considered very high-end, very la-ti-da. April's Apple Rosé is not pretentious. It's playful, it's delightful, and again, it has just that little hint of cinnamon. So again, it really does symbolize April. Sweet and playful with just that streak of spiciness. This is something that really needs to be served ice cold.
Beginning of spring, I need spring. Oh, I love spring. And winter begins this weekend.
Okay, this gives everybody time to finish up the Tannat. Do a palate cleanse, do your little gloss rinse. Now, while you're doing that, I have a little trivia question for everybody. I talked about Virginia being very different from places like Washington, Oregon, and California. They actually plant their vines so close together so that they can yield 5 to 6 tons of grapes per acre.
Wow.
In Virginia, the average winery tries to yield 3,000 tons. At Chateau O'Brien, he limits that to 1 to 2 tons. So instead of 3,000 pounds, 1 to 2 tons. He's focusing on quality, not quantity. It's what is making Virginia wines really, really recognizable in the wine world. We are getting more international awards than ever before. So, a little trivia question. Knowing that you're getting in for this particular winery 1 to 2 tons of grapes per acre, how many grapes do you think it takes to make a 5-ounce, to pour a 5-ounce glass of wine? Your perfect pour for a bottle of wine is 5 to 5.5 ounces. You want to get 4 equal-sized glasses out of a bottle of wine. So here's my multiple choice. Do you believe it takes 50 grapes, 100 grapes, 200 grapes, or 400 grapes? I should have you all. You know the answer. I've told you this before. The answer, thank you, spoiler alert, 400 grapes are needed to make a 5-ounce glass of wine. So when you hear 1 to 2 tons of grapes, you're not making that many, you're maybe making 100 cases of wine. And that's not a lot in the wine industry. You're paying for your agricultural staff, you're paying for your production crew to produce it, you're paying for people like me to market and sell it and generate customer service. You're paying for your bottles, your labels, your bottling line. Many wineries do advertising. So there's a lot involved. So in case you're thinking, oh, I'd love to run a vineyard someday. It's not the easiest business in the world, and you don't make as much money as you think you do. You get to drink all the not 100% quite right wine, but... So again, sweet, ripe, lush apple, hints of strawberry, peach, and citrus. I personally am not a sweet wine drinker, but I do use this wine when I'm making foods like roasted pork loin or baked hams. I like to think when I'm doing a roasted pork loin, I do herb and seed crusted, nice juicy. I serve April's apple rosé, and I tell everybody it's a classic version of my mother's pork chops and applesauce. Baked ham, you're balancing the salty savoriness of ham with the sweet, ripe, lush fruit. And then I use this to get all the meat off the ham bones and it's a base in the stock and making things like it also takes that ham and tenderizes it. So you have a soup that you just melts in. How fabulous. And you know what, I have a big stock pot, split pieces. I was talking about, I use this in again, when I make a ham, I sear this, and I use this. Oh.
Is it good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Well, we're going to continue having fun with Joanne and tasting wine. And we thank you very much for joining us. But now we're going to end our video portion of the evening while we continue to have fun. So sorry that you're not with us right now, but hope you've enjoyed watching. Thanks so much, and join us on FRWRC.org.